So good morning, everybody. Welcome to Erace. And I'll let people into the room as they come on. I'm Phyllis. Marion's going to facilitate today, but she's having technical difficulties getting on. So we're going to, hopefully she'll join us eventually. Most of you all know the rules of how we conduct our meetings. I'll start with the motto. Erace is the slogan of the group Erace, which was formed in the summer of 1993 to show ways to show that we treat all people with love and respect through communication. That was really poor. Join us. So the rules are that if you want to get on the list that I will start keeping and then Marion will take over, is to raise a finger and recommend moving it back and forth. So there's movement in your little, oh, sorry about that, in your
low box.
Yeah, box. Sorry, I'm letting people in and I can't talk and think at the same time. And then if the person speaking says something that you want to clarify, and this is very strictly, when you said, what did you mean? Or I didn't understand what you meant by. This is not to make a point by asking a question. And it's tricky because we're used to doing that. But that is not a clarifying question, and you need to get on the list if that is what you really want to do. At about enough time close to the end, we'll do a final wrap up so that we can wrap up at 11:30. Anybody who has not spoken during the meeting will have 2 minutes to speak during the wrap up. Everyone else will have 1 minute. Every time you get on the list, you have 2 minutes. Sorry, I didn't say that. And we emphasize that everybody stays muted unless they've been called on to speak or they're going to ask a clarifying question. That is to respect everyone in the meeting so that there's no background noise or side comments heard. So any questions about that part? Anything I forgot? Okay. So Marion chose this article, which I found very interesting. So I cannot speak to why she chose it, like the facilitator would normally do. And I guess I'll just open the list if anybody wants to.
We have to introduce ourselves.
Thank you. I wasn't prepared to facilitate this morning. Okay, let's introduce ourselves. Let's start with Louise.
Hi, I'm Louise. Been coming for over a couple of decades to the Erace meetings, virtual and real. I get a lot from them. The reason I come is to get different perspectives, and I certainly do get that. So I love coming.
Thank you. Nora?
Hi, everybody. I'm Nora. I'm in Austin. I've only been coming for, gosh, a couple months now, maybe. And really am appreciating that the group exists and enjoy the conversation. And I like seeing the hoops I'm seeing. Yeah.
Thank you. Marva?
My name is Marva. Again, I've been coming to Erace post Katrina, and I look forward to seeing you guys every Saturday. And I learned something new every weekend.
Thank you, Marva. Nancy?
Yes, my name is Nancy, and I've been coming to Erace since June of 2007.
Thank you. Lynn with an L?
Good morning, everyone. I wore my little hoops. My friend in Mexico told me I should wear them since my hair was so short. and I took her advice about 30 years ago, and I still have them. I have been a member, an attendee since the summer of 2019, and I'm afraid I'll have to leave early today. I have a house guest, and I'm not sure what activities he's going to propose today, but got to be ready.
Sounds like fun.
Well, it is. Get out of a rut.
Yes. Beatrice.
Hi, good morning. I'm Beatrice. I'm here in East Point, Georgia, outside of Atlanta, and been coming to Erace since probably 1994. And as you know, co-founder with my husband Lawrence of our Erace Atlanta. Always delighted to be with my hometown people. Good morning. Hello.
Cindy.
Good morning. I just swallowed some soup, funny. I'm Cindy Morse. Glad to see you all. Been coming out here about it, so I just-
You're breaking
never
up a
could get
little
my
bit,
s-
Cindy.
Okay.
Yeah, start over.
Oh, good morning, everybody. I'm Cindy Morse. Glad to see you this morning. I forgot my earrings are upstairs, so I'd have to run up again, and I am not up for running up those stairs. It's gorgeous. I think fall arrived last night. I don't know between where I started and where I am now. Anyway, I'm glad to see you all tonight. Looking forward to this discussion. And I'm sorry I didn't wear my hoops.
Thank you. Marla.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Marla, and I've been coming for about a year, I think, to Erace meetings, something like that. Anyway, I too will probably have to sign off early. I am dealing with all things a senior in high school, and she has a lot going on. So happy to be here. And yeah, the 1 week of fall that we get in the New Orleans area, it's here. So to enjoy the 1 week.
Thank you. Bill.
My name is Bill, and I apologize for you seeing this static image of me. If I click on show video, it's just a black screen. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I really enjoyed the article, and I enjoyed, after I read it, I was at Ochsner Baptist for something, and I just noticed all the hoops. And it's a very strong, it's a very beautiful statement. So I look forward to our discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean.
I'm sorry, I'm in rehab after a triple bypass, and I have only had this cell phone since the beginning of September. I don't know how to do the picture. Anyway, I'm Jean Walker. I'm in Montgomery County, Maryland, Gaithersburg at the moment. And I've been just coming sporadically for the past couple of months. I always enjoy the different perspectives of everyone and enjoy participating in the discussions. And everybody have a beautiful day.
Thank you for being here. Glenn Abdullah.
Good morning. She already introduced me. Glad to be here this morning.
Thank you. Gigi.
My name is Greer, and I enjoy coming to Erace. Well, by Zoom now, but I definitely enjoyed this article. Great pick, Phyllis.
Oh, it was a great pick, Marion.
Oh, Marion.
Marion,
Okay.
but she's not on yet, so she's having some technical issues.
All right.
Oh, wait, I believe she is coming. Hold on, let's see if this works, and then she can start. Hey, Marion.
Good morning, everybody. I am so sorry. I lost the internet connection.
That's okay. Can we see your face?
I can see everybody.
No, we can't see your face.
Okay,
You have
I
to,
don't know. Okay, let me see what I can do.
then I'll tell you where we're at. Oh, there you are. Okay,
Okay,
so
all right.
we
The
are at the
technology.
place, we are at the place where you can say why you brought this article, and then you can open the list. Everything else has been done, the rules and the introductions. So. it's all you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Once again, I apologize. Technology gave me a kick in the teeth this morning. Last week or earlier than that, maybe the week before, my granddaughter who lives with me bought 2 pairs of hoop earrings, and she left them on the table in the dining room area. And I picked them up and looked at them. And I like hoop earrings. I don't own a pair, but I like them. And some little voice in the back of my mind said, why don't you do a little research on hoop earrings? And surprise, surprise, several articles came up in the search engine. So I selected this one. The illustration caught my eye. And of course, the big picture of the lady's profile wearing the big hoop earrings. And I was really surprised to see that there was all this, I call it rigmarole, about women, particularly women of color, wearing hoop earrings. So I found the article very interesting, never realizing that there was all of this racial mess behind women wearing hoop earrings. So I hope everybody had an opportunity to read it. I found it very interesting. And embedded within the article itself, there are several other websites that you can go to and read up more about this. So with that being said, the list is open. Marva.
In reading the article, it brought back a pleasant, not a pleasant memory, memory I had this Jewish nurse that was blonde hair and blue eyes, and we worked together in my earlier nursing career. And we went out to eat and everything. We socialized, and she came in one morning with cornrows and hoops, and I was shocked when I didn't say nothing. And when the ENT doctor came around, he pulled her aside, and he was also Jewish. And when I saw her face after she talked to him, she came straight to me. And I said, what that was about. I thought it was patient related. And he said, how dare you wear those African braids and those hoop earrings? And she was so hurt about it. And I didn't understand why Jewish, they supported us in many accomplishments and strides. And for him to see her in that light, it took me by surprise.
Thank you, Marva. Cindy?
I grew up in small town, North Carolina. And what I'm remembering, I really noticed about kindergarten age, before I was even in school, I wanted, and I never was allowed to have those tiny little hoop earrings that the Black children wore, especially the tiny little ones with these little bitty earrings. They were adorable. And I always thought that wasn't fair. But much later, it was the end of high school, my ears pierced so I could wear the hoops. Much later, 20 years. But there's quite a difference. And it's much more widespread now in the white culture that I notice. Thanks. It's changed over time.
Thank you, Cindy. I was writing more was named out. Phyllis.
I almost started talking before I'm eating. I don't really have any statement to make at this point. I want to ask a question to everybody, actually not everybody, the women of color in the group. If you think that gold hoops belong to certain cultures, to women of color, and if so, is the size of the hoop a consideration? If that makes sense. Because I think the article pinpoints that it is a sign of a cultural thing for people of color to wear, women of color to wear big hoops. And if you think that it is cultural appropriation for white women to wear them, and does size matter? And Marion Greer has her hand up. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you for telling me that, because I can't even see it. This screen is still acting crazy. I can see all of you, but it's kind of a blurrishness in it. All right, is there anyone? Okay, I have Marva. Marva, did you want to make another comment, or did you want to respond to Phyllis's comment?
I will respond to Phyllis' comment and also make a statement. As you know, we all grew up watching Jungle Jim and Tarzan. We was depicted with large hoops, and in some movies was a large hoop earring in the nasal area. And I think it was more of the African tribes, and we as babies, our parents pierced our ears before we was 3 months. And I think that have something to do with our heritage. And young white women that desired the hoops and pierced earrings was not allowed to do so. And they had to wait until they left their parents' house before they could do that piercing. I hope I answered your question, Phyllis, somewhat.
Thank you, Marva. Lynn has a clarifying question.
And Bill's hand is up.
And Bill, where are you? Up at the top of the screen. You were at the bottom, now you're at the top. Okay.
Yeah, I just have one finger up, so I want to get on the speakers list.
Okay, Lynn, you have a clarifying question?
Yes, and I'm glad Marva talks again, because my clarifying question goes back to her previous statement about the Jewish doctor. Was the Jewish doctor saying to the Jewish nurse, don't commit cultural appropriation or was he saying to the Jewish nurse, that's not that degrades you if you try to wear those decorations?
I was, I took it as though it was not their culture, and you should be proud of your heritage and not borrow someone else's heritage.
Okay, Lynn, does that satisfy your curiosity?
Yes, it does. I think that's the best interpretation.
All right, Phyllis also has a clarifying question. Phyllis?
Do you feel like the white parents told their white daughters not to wear hoops because, again, like Lynn's question, the parents associated it with Black culture and they didn't want their daughters representing that?
Yes, most certainly. And it will take from their posture is ladylike and sophistication and intelligence.
All right, did I miss anybody? Any more clarifying questions? I'm scanning the screen. With that being said, Greer, you have the floor, Greer.
Okay. I just want to comment. I find that a lot of what is part of our culture gets cherry picked and deemed acceptable when white people accept it or people outside of our culture accept it. Case in point, like the article said, the earrings. Now you see all these stars wearing these big hoops when normally they didn't. And also with fashion styles. And like, there was a gentleman who was called Dapper Dan. He worked in New York and he would use the prints of like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, and he would make suits out of them for like the rappers or just regular people. He would make suits out of them. So it was a copyright infringement, no doubt, but he was sued by Gucci. And so he had to shut down his actual production of doing that. But then Gucci went out and did the same thing. If anything they take from our culture, if they can make a profit off it, that's when it becomes acceptable. That's it.
Thank you, Greer. Nancy, I want you to sit up. Your name is blocking part of your nose and your mouth, and I think you have on some hoop earrings, but I can't see them very clearly. Okay, that's better. Can you sit up in a position that's comfortable for yourself? I don't want you to be on a strain. But you were sitting in a relaxed position, so okay. Your name is back in your face again.
Oh.
Beatrice has her finger up.
Your computer. I can see me fine.
In fact, Beatrice, I have you twice. In fact, Beatrice is next.
Thank you. Couple of things, couple of comments, and then maybe a little response to Phyllis. First of all, I did not get my ears pierced as a baby or as a child. I did not wear earrings until maybe junior high, and they were clip-ons, and you only wore a certain kind of tailored type earrings with dressy stuff. Like you'd wear clip-ons and not hoops at all. It was not until I was an adult that I got my ears pierced. This is a delightful article in many ways. What might appear to be a playful kind of topic that has some real implications in terms of the appropriations. I do think that it is an appropriation, as Gigi has said and others, of the styles of African, American, Latino, whatever the group. It is an appropriation, and the appropriation of styles and of music and all those things to some degree angers me, because people take icing from a cake, but the real issues of who African-American people are and what our struggles are of no interest to these people who wear cornrows and big hoop earrings and could care less about Black Lives Mattering. And I find it distasteful, disgusting, whatever. However, because our music, for example, is so important and at the foundation so much, if it had not been appropriated, I'm not sure where the music of this country would be. I mean, we've been fundamental to, organic to so much of the country's music. It's unfortunate that once something leaves the culture, as others have said, and as the article said, it becomes, it's okay. You know, people, and the size of earrings, I never thought about that either. I think younger women, even African-American women, might wear larger hoops. I'm not sure about that. But it is unfortunate that something, whether it's art, whatever, it is as if it has to be dignified by, or it has to, in some way, in order for it to be acceptable, it has to be acceptable by a larger part of the culture. And that is not, that isn't good. I mean, the perspective through which you view something should not be based on who has done it and from whom it came. So those are my thoughts and comments on that.
Thank you, Beatrice. We have Bill followed by Marva, and then the list is open. So feel free to jump in, everyone.
Okay.
Bill?
Yeah, and Beatrice touched on the issue of music. This article speaks to the larger issue of cultural appropriation. Has been discussed. And one of the classic examples was music. In the 50s, is on most of you my age, you know, Black R&B singers, they were called race records, and they didn't get airplay on a lot of the regular stations. And then there are many factors that contributed to this, but one of the factors to make R&B mainstream was the British rockers copied a lot of the African-American blues songs. I mean, one of the first Rolling Stones big hit was Time Was on My Side by Irma Thomas. Elvis Presley's big hit was Hound Dog by Big Mama Thornton. And sometimes there was attribution. I don't know if there was any royalties, but sometimes not. Willie Dixon, who was the main songwriter for Chess Records, that Muddy Waters, he sued Led Zeppelin and won $1 million from Led Zeppelin back when $1 million was more money, because they copied his music without attribution. And so it's a very complex issue. As you said, Beatrice said, if it hadn't been the appropriation, where would, I mean, this elevated a lot of Black musicians to the forefront. Fats Domino said that rock and roll was a new marketing strategy for rhythm and blues. And he did not change. He continued to do his R&B as he always did it. And the music came to him. And some people changed to be more mainstream. So it's a complex issue, but we see cultural appropriation across the board in so many ways, so many issues, not just earrings and not just music. And once the white mainstream people do it, it's okay now. So anyway.
Put me on the list.
Article.
Thank you, Bill. I have Marva, Louise, Jean, Marla.
Put me on the list.
Oh my goodness, that gruff voice. All right, I have you, Glenn.
Put me to Marion. This is Greer.
All right. All right. Barbara, Louise, Jean, Marla, Glenn, Greer, anyone else? I'm scanning the screen. All right. Marva.
I don't know if you all remember this, but there's a wide variety of age range in on the screen. And back in the 80s or late 70s, Gloria Vanderbilt decided to come out with her own jeans. They were pretty. And she said when Black women started wearing them, they were pricey. And she said they were not made for Black women because you had to have a flat bottom to fit in her jeans or buy 2 sizes larger. I never was able to afford her jeans, and I wouldn't support her in her fashion because she said negative things about Black women. And she said she didn't want Black women to wear her jeans, and they weren't made for them. And Gloria Vanderbilt should have praised Black women because her swan, which was on the backside of Black women, rode a tidal wave.
Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Marva. Louise.
So many things. I had my ears pierced when I was 3 years old by force. Obviously, I wasn't. No one asked me if I wanted them. And I don't really wear earrings, and I certainly don't wear hoop earrings. They're too big for my liking. But as I was older and I visited relatives in Egypt, all of the women wore hoop earrings, very big hoop earrings. But at the time, I never thought of asking, where that's from, why, or, it was just that was what they wore. Appropriation is a very interesting subject to me, and Beatrice, I appreciate your comments on it. But I just have to say one thing about that you said everyone or all white people that wear cornrows are not interested in the plight of people of color. I'm not sure you can say that. That's a pretty sweeping statement. So, that might not be true. And there is a very interesting TED Talk by Lizzo. She talks about twerking and the appropriation of twerking and where it came from, and very interesting TED Talk. So appropriation is it is a very interesting subject, and I would like to get a lot of perspectives from people of color, women of color, about this. And as far as the music goes, of course, I mean, if it wasn't for people, enslaved Africans brought over, we would not have all of the music that we have now. And what was really coincidental, just this morning, my husband told me, Roy told me that Paul McCartney told, oh my God, Rolling Stones guy, told him that they were just a blues cover band, which I thought was rather funny and quite true, but still, and very immature. Anywho, that's all I got to say for now, I guess.
Thank you, Louise. Cindy has a clarifying question. Unmute, Cindy.
Never mind.
Never mind. Okay. All right. Jean.
Unmute. Okay, there we go.
Unmute, Jean. I think
I did. Am I good? Okay. So I agree with Beatrice. I mean, the big issue is the one of appropriation And she's got a point. Many white people who appropriate styles, music, may not be those walking in the street saying Black Lives Matter, or even getting engaged in any of the various issues that are confronting us with respect to the treatment, the systemic racism that Black people have to deal with. I mean, I've always, I don't know when I have my ears pierced. That's not an issue. I don't wear earrings anymore. I don't even wear any kind of jewelry anymore. I'm 82. I just go by my natural beauty at this point. Anyway, so, but thank you for everybody's comments. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jean. I want to ask the group a question. On my screen, there is an image of someone in a blue long sleeve shirt. Do you see that? Am I missing someone? Okay.
And Nora has a clarifying question.
Nora. Okay. Am I going to ask everybody to wiggle your finger?
And Beatrice once on the list.
And Beatrice, wiggle your finger, please. Because
And Rebecca.
I can't wiggle my finger, but I have my hand raised.
Okay. Because I'm having that this image at the bottom of my screen is raising an arm, and I thought it was someone that I was missing.
Nope.
And the person is still waving his or her arm, and then they have on a blue shirt. Okay, nobody sees it except me. Must be a ghost in the machine. Okay, Marla. No, wait, did someone have a clarifying question?
I did.
Nora.
I did.
Nora has a clarifying question.
And you have Beatrice and Rebecca on the list?
I have Beatrice. I have, oh, that was Nora with the clarifying question. Who was the other person?
Rebecca.
Rebecca, okay.
And
I got
Bill.
it.
And Bill.
Because this person waving their arm is distracting. I thought it was someone I was missing. All right, I'm sorry, folks. I didn't want to leave anybody out, and I still have this person at the bottom of the screen waving his or her arm. All right, Nora, you said you had a clarifying question. I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay. So possibly a stupid rhetorical question, but Cindy made the comment about people that appropriate whatever fashion, but not behind Black Lives Matter, doing other anti-racist work. So is it okay then to appropriate if you're working hard in those issues? That's all. I think my answer is no, but I'd be curious what other people have to say.
Were you, oh, you're just directing it to the group. You didn't want to ask anyone specific. You didn't want to ask
Maybe that was not going with the rule, but it did pertain to
that's
what's
okay. You didn't commit a crime. That's something food for thought. That's perfectly fine. All right, Marla, finally got around to you. I hadn't forgotten you.
Okay. No, that's fine. This is a great discussion. I guess I just wanted to say, in my white ignorance, if you will, I never knew that hoops were, that was a type of appropriation. And I guess it's just my flag to continue to be on the lookout, that for every single thing that you do, your practice, what you wear, what music you listen to, those types of things, just critical to really think of their origin and how to respect those things. On that note, though, I think maybe I wore hoops way back in high school. So I found the article interesting in that it made it sound like hoops are suddenly a trend, where I remember, going way back. I guess maybe it's 70s, 80s revival type things coming back to. Those trends seem to be coming back, like the jeans that are like the cargo jeans that we wore in the 80s and overalls and things like that. My daughter actually is getting back into some of those trends, which makes me wish I'd saved some of my old clothes. But the other thing that I just wanted to say, if anybody remembers with Megan Thee Stallion's song that came out, I guess it was a year or so ago, and it was one of those perfect songs where TikTok dancers would typically choreograph, and usually these are Black artists who were choreographing the TikTok songs, and then those dances would go viral. And, of course, white people do all the dances, right, appropriating all of that from Black folks. Well, this time, all of the Black artists got together and they decided to go on strike, and they just did not come up with a dance. And white folks tried to come up with dances on their own, and it was really quite hysterical, and it was terrible, honestly. But I don't know if the point was made, if white folks even got it, if they understood that, like, this is what's going on. But it was the things that white folks were trying to do with this song were just beyond hilarious. So if you need to laugh, go ahead and take a look. It was something, but interesting. I thought that, striking in a virtual way, if you will.
Thank you, Marla. Glenn.
This society has always tried to make us feel ashamed of ourselves. They try to make you feel ashamed of your skin color, try to make you ashamed of your nose, make you ashamed of your hair. So they have always been trying to psychologically attack us. So, the earrings are using science to say that our brain was smaller than theirs, or everything to break our spirit, to keep us down. So, things like the ring, things like the earrings, all that just is a cultural attack upon us. But in spite of all of that, we are still rising. That's the point I want to make.
All right. Thank you, Glenn. We still have Greer, Beatrice, Rebecca, and Bill. So Greer.
Okay.
Is next.
All right. Like a lot of people look at African art and they'll call it primitive, but Picasso borrowed a lot from African art, and he was exalted as an artist. It's all in how you look at it and who's delivering the goods to you. Another issue, Solomon Linda, he wrote the song "The Lion Sleeps Tonight" in South Africa, like in the early 50s. Pete Seeger stole it from him, made over $15 million on it, never paid Solomon Lindy anything. And he renamed it Awimaway. Black people are upset about cultural appropriation because if you look at our history of coming to this country, people are like, oh, well, we're enjoying what you do and yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, when people were stolen and taken from where they live to this country, you stole their history, their language, their heritage, their position in the society that they live. You rebranded them to become what you wanted them to become, which was slaves. And each generation that was born in this country moved further and further away from the teachings, the heritage, the history, and the language of where they came from. And my uncle used to always say it, Yes, Uncle Glenn, and I agree with you with this. We are the newest people on earth because we are the farthest from our original source. They created new people when they took us from whichever country in Africa they took us from. That's it.
Thank you, Greer. All right, we have Beatrice.
Yeah, just a couple of things in defense of, I don't ever want to have anyone think that I have made a statement that covers everybody. So to say that everybody who wears cornrows, that is white and wears hoop earrings is not concerned with Black issues, that would not be accurate. And I did not mean to imply that. That is, all is never true about anything. We learned that in geometry. But it is interesting that there is something about African experience, African culture, African whatever, that we as a source are almost like the motherland. I mean, people live from, grow from what it is that we have brought up or has been taken. People appropriate from us, and that's something to consider. That what is it that is, what is it about what is native and natural to people that it becomes a source for others' growth? That shows value, that shows depth, and I think that's something that we can ponder. Another aside is bangles. Someone saw me with these, and she said, "Are you West African? Are you from I think she said Barbados?" I said, "No." And so I don't know if people have determined that wearing bangles is a source of, something that people do. I don't know who else wears bangles. I know that my understanding is I wear them for two reasons. One is that they remind me of the shackles that my people were forced to wear when they were taken from the continent, from the motherland. And then I buy a new one every June 1st, which is the anniversary when I lost my son 3 years ago. So, but all that to say that appropriation, growing something from a source is something that is worth considering. What is it that is in that is in a culture that it germinates so much that people want to take from it? What is it? And I think that's power and strength. Thanks.
Thank you, Beatrice. Rebecca, I have Phyllis. Rebecca?
Do you have me on there? I raised my finger.
Yes, Glenn. I said I had you, I believe. I guess I didn't say it loud enough. I have Rebecca, Bill, Marva, Glenn, and Phyllis. Anyone else?
Louise has a clarifying question.
Clarifying question. I didn't see your fingers, Louise, sorry.
It's okay. So power and strength, you think, is why? I mean, I'm just putting it out there. It is not my opinion. I mean, this is a really interesting thing to me about appropriation, and I really do want to know what your thoughts are. And could it possibly be that they just particularly like the art? Could it just be a very shallow thing that they just like the look of something? And is that offensive to you at all? Like,
are you talking to me, baby?
Yeah, kind of, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
Is it a clarifying question, Louise?
Say what?
A clarifying question.
Yeah. So, could it possibly be not just power and strength that they're fighting for, that they're wearing it for? That they are just doing it because they like the look of it? And is there ignorance of it? Because they're obviously ignorant to what it means. And is that offensive to you?
Yeah, I don't think the two things are mutually exclusive. I think the source can still be powerful and people can just take it because they like it and it looks nice and they want to be a part of it. I don't think that it can be either or. The strength, the value, I'm just thinking, the strength and the value in the source from which people appropriate something shows that it is of some consequence. Now, whether people take it because they like it or whatever, or they couldn't figure out any other music except to delve into the music that was there. I just don't think the two things are mutually exclusive. Was that helpful? Okay.
All right, well, we still
Okay.
have some time. We can broach this subject again. Rebecca?
Yeah, good morning. I just want to apologize for being absent. It's gardening time in Massachusetts, and Saturday is a major gardening program. That's why I haven't been here. We have a garden that has to be attended to. So I was surprised, really surprised by this. I had no idea that earrings, that pierced ears and hoop earrings were a cultural matter. I really had no idea until I looked at the article and listened to you today. It's interesting because I do think that hoop earrings do look very nice on a darker face than they do on a lighter face. That's just, it seems to me that that's true. Maybe other people don't feel that way. And even different sizes of hoops, it's true about. And it seems to me that on white people, that little tiny or thin earrings look better. It's really funny, but I never thought of it as that we were stealing a piece of culture when we pierced our ears and wore earrings. And so it's really an educational matter, and I'm very glad to learn it. And I'm afraid there's just hundreds of other things. I mean, the music is shocking because that's a terrible thing that one person is making money on somebody else's artwork. That's just horrible. And there's that terrible movie about it too. I'm sorry, I've forgotten the name. But anyway, it's not a match. The hoop earrings and the music, it doesn't seem to me to be quite the same thing. But I don't know. I'm glad to know that I guess white people didn't pierce their ears before we imported people of color. It's what it sounds like. So thanks for this. I'm learning from it, and I'm very grateful to you.
All right, Rebecca, thank you. Bill?
I learned something recently. We're talking about Paul McCartney. The Beatles song Blackbird was not about the bird. Bird is a British term for young women. So the song was about young African-American or Afro-English women, and that's what the song was about. And I recently saw a picture of McCartney with two African-American or African English women about his age, and he was honoring them and acknowledging that's what that song was about. But both Glenn and Greer mentioned how white society turns African-American styles and culture against African-Americans. And I remember, and I may have mentioned this already, but when Kamala Harris was the new DA in San Francisco, she was sitting in her office and she heard a bunch of white officers talking about these people that they saw, and they were convinced that they were criminals. And that's because they listened to hip hop music. They wore clothing styles associated with African Americans. And she got out of her office and went over and says, I've been listening to you guys, and the music you're saying that people are more suspect if they listen to. I got a bunch of tapes in my car. I listened to that music on the way. And the clothes that you're talking about, that's what I wear on the weekends. And so she was trying to counteract the impression that being Black was probable cause, especially if you were heavy into Black culture, is even more probable cause. And that's weaponizing Black culture against itself. And that happens a lot. I have one more thing to say. If you can put me back on the list, but I don't want to say it in this time. It takes more time.
All right, Bill. There are three other folks here. We have Marva, Glenn, Phyllis, and I'm scanning the screen. I'll put you back after Phyllis, Bill. So Marva. Unmute Marva.
Earlier in the 80s, late 70s, Bo Derek was first a model, and the controversy she had was she was on Vogue magazine modeling a swimsuit with a surfboard, and she was coming out the water, and she had cornrows. And that was a controversy. And she didn't apologize for it. I think she made the choice of she was held her hairstyle when her hair was wet. And she had also had big hoops on in that picture. And she later became a very popular movie star. She rode that tidal wave of controversy well. She didn't. She wasn't apologetic for wearing the cornrows and the big hoops. And she later became a very popular movie star.
Thank you, Marva. Glenn?
Well, I'm not on cornrows. I don't think that really came from us. I think that came from the Celtic tribes. They used to have, they had cornrows back then. And our natural hair, we don't make cornrows out of our when we wearing our natural hair. The cornrows come in after we straighten out our hair to look like white people. Then we put the cornrows in. Now, that's not what I wanted to talk about. But what I wanted to talk about is something that we were made to feel ashamed about, that white folks are embracing now, and that is our thick lips. We used to be made ashamed about our thick lips. Now, I got moderate looking lips, and they're not thick, and I wouldn't mind if they were thick, but they got white folks now that pump their mouths up with silicone, and they got bigger lips than the majority of African Americans have. So that's like I say, we've been made for for many years. They did everything to score our psyche, to make us feel bad for ourselves and to keep us down, and to make us oppress our own selves by their criticism of us. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Glenn. Phyllis and Bill follows Phyllis, and then the list is, okay, Marv, you have a clarifying question to Glenn? Yes, unmute.
Yes, I don't know if he forgot about mentioning, I can get on the list.
Okay, I'll write your name after Bill's name. Okay.
Marion, this is Greer. Put me on the list.
All right. This figure with this blue shirt on waving his or her arm is driving me crazy.
Well, is it someone that's just jumped into, I mean, should we be worried about that or?
I
No,
don't
'cause
know.
nobody can get in unless I let them in, and I've
Right.
not let anybody in that isn't on the screen.
So it's not, it doesn't appear to be a real person. It's
Marion, just ignore it. Don't even talk
I
about it.
can't, it's waving
No.
its arm.
Well, don't.
I'll try to ignore it. All right. Bill, did I
Well,
Phyllis,
I'm
are you
next.
speaking?
I'm speaking.
Phyllis, I put a check mark next to your name, but this doggone arm waving in the air is
So I
driving me-
think I think Greer is the last person you wrote down. I think you should close the list after that,
okay.
for time.
Yes, it is
And
after 11.
before you start my 2 minutes, Glenn, can you say what tribe you said wore cornrows? I couldn't understand what you were saying.
The Celtics.
So, oh, what?
Celtics.
My people.
Yeah.
Celtic
Okay.
people. Okay.
Thank you. That's blowing my mind a little bit. So first I want to say what Rebecca said, I don't know that Europeans didn't pierce their ears before they encountered Black people, because there's the famous Vermeer painting, the girl with the pearl earring. So I think people, especially women, have always found ways to adorn themselves. That's our thing. We're good at that. So, and the other thing, I think there might be a difference between how Black people in the United States feel about what is considered traditionally African being used by white people versus people in Africa. And I say this because a friend of mine went to Kenya. She's a white woman, and she was doing like a semester for social work school there. And she was working with some African women, some Kenyan women. They basically sat her down and cornrowed her hair, and encouraged her to wear traditional clothing and while she was there. And I think they felt honored that she was willing to do that. And maybe invitation is part of it, that they, maybe they wouldn't invite every Black woman or every white woman to like have cornrows, but maybe she impressed them. So I think there is a difference in how it's viewed in this country versus in Africa, because maybe in Africa, and I'm certain that it's not across the board because no alls can be spoken, but that maybe that they feel less protective because it hasn't been appropriated directly from them. It's the appropriation has happened in this country and somewhat, well, I wouldn't say indirectly, but hidden, denied. So I think that's the two things I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Phyllis. Bill, followed by Marva, then Greer, and then we'll do our wrap up. So Bill, you're up.
Yes, I had to move because I lost connection. But this is an issue that I think about a lot myself. I actually am a painter, and I paint a lot of New Orleans subjects, including musicians, cultural bearers, and I paint a lot of African Americans because African Americans are in the majority in terms of New Orleans music and cultural bearers. But I don't just paint African Americans, I paint whites too. But then I'm wondering, am I being a cultural appropriator, or am I painting people that I respect and admire? And I try to make the paintings show the best of the person. And the appropriation also, it's not limited to African Americans. Am I stealing the image of a white musician in order to make money? I have to react to that. First of all, if I do get an image, if it's in a small music club, if I have a chance to talk to the person, I ask permission before I take their picture. If it's a jazz fest, if it's a big festival, of course, that's not practical, but I follow the festival rules. French Quarter Orchestra, you can't, oh, that's for video. Never mind. Anyway, so I reflect on that. The other thing I do is if I come to know the person that I painted, I always give them the painting. That's sort of like their royalty to me. And I'm not doing painting to make a lot of money. I don't make a lot of money. I do sell my paintings just to, because we don't have room in our house for them. But, and I like to get them out in the broader thing. So I reflect on the fact and cultural appropriator am I honoring and respecting culture that I like? And I don't have the answer to that question, but it's something that I constantly try to err on the side of respect and like and not appropriation. And I try to do strategies to avoid appropriation for profit. Anyway. Oh, I did a painting of a young woman at Jazz Fest, backup singer for Erica Falls, who had hoops on. And I put the hoops in the painting because it really strengthens her image as a young singer, because she's taking this very strong pose, and then you see the hoops there.
Powerful.
It's increased. Okay.
Thank you, Bill. There was an echo. I don't know if you all heard it, but it was some kind of a bounce back. Marva, and followed by Greer, and then we'll do our wrap up. And Pedro will be the first person to speak in the wrap up because he didn't speak during our regular discussion time. So Marva.
Glenn, you stole my thunder. I want to speak on buttocks and thickened lips. The Kardashians is one that is a good example. They thicken their lips and they have enlarged their buttocks to the point where it looks ill-formed. And African Americans, women was endowed with those features. And I find many white women have spent plenty money on plastic surgeries to thicken their lips and to enhance their buttocks. And it's come to the point of disfiguring themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Marva. And Greer, and then we'll do our wrap up.
I just want to piggyback on what Marva said about the buttocks. Like, there's a woman, Sarah Bartman, she had a large butt, and they used her as a sideshow act. They gave her a story about how they were going to give her work, and she was stolen from her tribe, and she's still in a museum, I forget which country it's in, where she's been stuffed, a human being stuffed. And as far as braids have been around for over 3,000 years in the African culture. Braids were used as a form to say what tribe you belong to, your status in that tribe. And even when slavery happened, and again, they've been around long before slavery, when slavery happened and the African tribes would sow, when they were braiding hair, they would put rice and seeds and other food items into the hair just in case somebody was taken, they would have something to start with if they were ever sent to a land they could possibly plant it, or rice to just even eat to survive. Braids and cornrows have been around for over 3,000 years. It's nothing new for us. Other cultures have had them, but again, for Africans, they've been around for over 3,000 years. That's it.
Thank you, Greer. So at this time, excuse me, I swallowed the wrong way. We're gonna start our wrap up with Pedro.
Okay, hey, thanks. Sorry I was late. I had a work commitment. So fascinating historical, cultural stuff that I'm sorry I missed the first part of the deal. I'm sure I missed out on a lot, but I was listening to what people were saying. There's just a few things I wrote down here. I think it's just such a shame that when you have acculturation from an oppression point of view, Malcolm talked about conking hair, trying to be white. I think the words that Glenn shared are really powerful about the whole history of trying and continued history of trying to shame African Americans and then rationalizing it, right? I mean, that was something that I think I shared before, that this guy, Charles Lyons, talked about how science was, and it always is, part of that culture, and it tries to rationalize oppression as normal. That, as Glenn indicated, it said that the cranium was smaller in African Americans and whites. So the cranium is a skull. It has nothing to do with intelligence, but in order to rationalize the second-class nature, this is what happens. It's not just outright racism. It's the abdication by science of these things as well. I also remember I've gone to Cuba a bunch of times, and there's a beautiful Afro-Cuban dancers, and they were making this motion that I later learned out to show over the generations of harvesting sugarcane. It was like in the dance itself, it would capture this cultural and historical stuff. And then lastly, I had the pleasure of interviewing this guy, Charles Chenier, an African American Tuskegee Airman, in his very late in his life. And he was a big New Orleans Saints fan. And he told me the story about the appropriation of that "Who Dat." The NFL was trying to take that "Who Dat" and make a T-shirt and make money off of it. Mm-hmm. And he explained, hey, I remember when I was a child, 8 years old, this is a 92-year-old man 10 years ago telling me this, we'd knock on my grandmother's door and she'd go, "Who dat? Who dat?" So those are just all the things I wanted to share. So thanks for the conversation.
Thank you, Pedro. So at this time, we'll start our wrap up, and we'll start with Marva.
Thank you for the terrific and timely article. Thank you.
Marion, did Nancy speak?
Nancy, you didn't speak. Nancy, no. I'm so sorry. This arm waving is
Don't
really
worry
got
about
me
the
going
arm,
here.
baby. Don't worry about
All
the
right.
arm, baby.
Nancy, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
It was an interesting discussion. I had no idea there was that much hoopla over earrings. I do remember that, my father, when I got my ears pierced when I was like 13 or something like that, he said that no, getting your ears pierced was for like low class women got their ears pierced with, if you wanted to be a lady or respected, you can get your ears pierced, but I didn't pay attention to that. And when God had it done anyway, of course he got mad at me. and I've always worn hoops since the 70s. And I do notice that I wear the bigger ones kind of more recreational as opposed to being professional. That's probably about it. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Nancy. Lynn?
I was reading some articles, and one appropriation that we haven't talked about was food. A lot of the food magazines like to highlight Latin cooking, Indian cooking from India, soul food, but they don't want to hire Latin cooks, Black cooks, or Indian cooks to write the articles and highlight their perception on it. They've appropriated this food. And it also mentioned a restaurant or a food cart in Los Angeles where the women had gone to taquerias and gotten all the ideas and then put their food cart together, but never shared any profits with anyone who gave them the recipes. So there are all kinds of opportunities for appropriation. And thank you, Marion, for broadening our list of topics.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Lynn. Cindy?
Through this whole thing, I have been thinking, where did I get these ideas? My collection of bangles started on a trip to the West Coast that involved New Mexico and Arizona. And there were family groups on the side of the road selling bracelets their family had made. So I have, right now I have 18, 3 more broke. And I love them. They mean to me respect for that culture, appreciation for their efforts. I buy them. I try to buy them from the people. If that's not possible, I buy them in shops. But it means a lot to me. But ownership, taking the power from them, it's telling them, wow, you did a wonderful thing. Thank you for sharing it. It's a gift that they have to do the artwork that way. Feel the same about art. If I buy art in another country, it's not taking from their culture, it's thanking them for sharing their culture. And I find it kind of sad, and maybe we can track down where it came from. I have some ideas that we feel jealousy and fear and anger that someone's taken our power when they've shown appreciation, unless that's really obviously not what they're doing. That's certainly how I feel about it. And I find it kind of sad that we're in this place where we have these negative feelings about something we obviously value. Enough said.
Thank you, Cindy. Bill?
Yes, it was thought-provoking article, and we see cultural appropriation constantly. One of the things, the British Museum, there was a British officer who stole the Elgin marbles from the Acropolis and brought them to the British Museum. And the Greek government is actively pursuing England to return the stolen marbles. So it's pervasive, and it usually impacts people of color. In this case, it was people from Southern Europe being appropriated by people from Northern Europe. But anyway, thanks for the article. It caused me to reflect a lot, and to reflect on my own painting too. Thank you.
Louise?
Yeah, fantastic article, which sparked a lot of great conversation. But let's face it, America really is just one big appropriation of everything. And as far as making my comments, I'm pretty much doing devil's advocate, and not really, it doesn't come from my own opinion, but I do love to be devil's advocate and to get people's opinions on it, which is why I'm at Erace, to get a different perspective, to get, educate myself in how people feel about these topics. So yeah, this was marvelous, Marion, and I think I really appreciate everything here. Thank you.
Thank you. Rebecca?
I'm glad to be here, and I think that it's wonderful to be with all of you and hear about it. It widens my perspective, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Nora?
Really enjoyed the topic, and I hope we revisit the whole idea of appropriations, and appreciated the opportunity to look at my own practice of appropriation. One of my addictions is fabric, and when I look at the beautiful African clothing that women of color can wear, I just drool. And I wish I could feel comfortable appropriating that, but that's way out of my boundaries. But I really appreciate them. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Nora. Pedro? This is the wrap up.
Oh, I think I said my piece, so thank you.
All
for the
right.
opportunity.
Didn't want to skip over you.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Phyllis?
I think this was a really great conversation. I think it really is important that white people especially try to pay attention to what could be appropriation before they just decide they see something on a model or a singer and decide, oh, well, that must be in fashion. It might take some time to do a little bit of research. And to what Bill was talking about, the Elgin Islands or the Elgin Marbles, I watched the movie The Dig a while back with Ray Fiennes. It takes place in England, and they even steal archaeological finds from each other in England. This I think it was a ship was on a woman's property, and the British Museum found a way to take it not only from her but from the man she had hired to dig up the mound. So the British just want to act like they in their own world own everything. But thanks, Marion. This was really enlightening and I think gave us all a lot of education.
You're welcome. Beatrice?
Yeah, thanks, Marion, for the article. I don't ever go out without earrings. Most of the times they are bangles, but not all the time. I mean, if I'm going to walk my daughter's Cocker Spaniel, I wear earrings. I think that's my New Orleans culture. That's what I say. I think it's important to think about when somebody takes something from a culture, what's the purpose of doing that? You know, when we talk about appropriation, it's a deep and complex subject. Buying something that somebody has made, I don't think you're be doing anything dishonest. I mean, I don't think there's an issue with that. National Geographic has a whole section. It's called Novica, where you can order jewelry from various countries around the world. And it's wonderful when it comes because the people who have made it will put stories about their country and how they made it and all that kind of stuff. And I find it very valuable. I just think that it is this article and thoughts about something that might seem as frivolous as jewelry forces us to think more deeply about issues. And so it's been a real valuable conversation. Very grateful for the article and see ya.
Thank you. Glenn? Are you there, Glenn?
Yeah, I'm doing a little stuff. I'm back.
Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Okay. I wouldn't go to the extreme saying that when somebody takes something like something that somebody else is doing and use it. It was meant to be that. You know, God made us diverse in humanity. Not that we despise one another, but to learn from one another. Each culture brings something to the table that we need, that we can use, everybody else can use. So, now Ray Charles was one of the biggest thieves in the music business. He took country music, he took the Beatles music and made it his own. So it's not something that is, in the music business, they look at it in the way that we are talking. They look at it as, I like it and I'm going to use it. I'm going to make it my own. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Glenn. Louise?
I went, I think, but hey, I just literally found a hoop earring of my son's. It's my son's hoop earring on the table. So that's that's really funny. Sorry, I need to have a discussion with him, I guess. That's a whole nother thing. Sorry.
Thank you, Louise. The images are jumping around on the screen. Maybe that's why I called on Pedro twice. Jean, and then there's Greer. You all's pictures switched again. Jean, are you there?
Oh, I can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm having problems with this. So I guess I really like what Glenn said. We all have something to contribute. We should all, share. We should share a lot more love than we do. And I just, I found the discussion extremely interesting. And I thank everybody for participating. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Greer?
This is a great discussion. I love the way we always go beyond what just the article is. But basically, I'm gonna say this. Our existence in this country is based on the ability to profit off of us.
Oh, right.
I mean, they find a way to make money off of us from cradle to grave. If someone appreciates something, I can respect that. But at the same time, you have to give homage to those who provided you that. And that's just called basic respect. And that's what's lacking in this country when it comes to us. If they want to take something, they stole lives from Africa and they steal from us on the continuum. That's it.
And thank you, Greer. I want to say how much I appreciated everybody's comments. And I am a person who believes in appreciating everyone's culture. And I have to admit, when I found this article, which came from the website La Gente, I think my granddaughter's passing through the room and she saw I printed the paper out and she said, Nana, what's la gente? I said, you've forgotten the Spanish you learned in school. I said, that's la gente, and that means the people. So there were two terms in the article, sazon and chola. And sazon is really a flavor or a seasoning in Spanish and Mexican cooking, but it also refers to maturity. And it said that Hispanic women arrive at a sazon in their lives when they wear these hoop earrings. And chola, I found, was often derogatory in some parts of Latin America. It refers to a woman of indigenous or partly indigenous ancestry. And it's in the informal expression, it's a young woman belonging to Mexican-American urban subcultural, so associated with street gangs. So there's the negativity coming in with the hoop earrings. But in my experience, my ears were not pierced until I was in my 20s. And I have baby hoops and I was going to wear them. They have a 2-inch dangle hook. But the little hooks but the little circle is small, and I was going to wear them, but time got away from me, and I didn't want to jump up from the chair and go run in the bedroom and knock all the jewelry stands all over the dresser. But I like hoop earrings, and I even had a gentleman to tell my girlfriend and me she was wearing the big hoop earrings. I think he was just trying to get next to us, but she had on big hoop earrings, and he told her how beautiful she looked, blah, blah, blah. And we thanked him, and we went on and finished our meal. But I want to thank everybody for your participation in the conversation this morning. And I also want to call attention to the illustration. Did you all know that that blue is considered very complementary to darker skin tones? And it brought back another memory. I was told more than 30, 40 years ago that people of darker skin tones look good in the color blue. So I have a partiality to blue. Anybody can wear it, but it is supposed to accentuate and make your skin tone enhanced. So I thought this was a very nice illustration. And again, I want to say how much I appreciate everybody participating in the discussion. Who would have thought earrings would have brought out so many comments? So thanks again, everyone. I appreciate, as always, being part of the discussion. So thank you all again for your participation. I can't say it enough. So with that being
We will
said,
do announcements.
yes, I